One of my favorite things to do in the whole world is throw a frog for bass. And a lot of people think it's just for fishing around grass. It's really not. That's obviously my favorite way to fish one, but I've caught a lot of fish around laydowns, boat docks. And this year I've caught a lot of fish around riprap. I hadn't really done that in years past, but I found that's a great place to throw a frog. As far as frog fishing though, there's essentially two types of frogs that the way I classify them, basically you have frogs that slap and you have frogs that pop. And really either one of them can be made to walk, which is a third application. As far as which one I use when, I don't know, it's kind of an experimentation thing. I like the popping frog probably the best of all the frogs, just because I can walk it, I can pop it, I can make it slap, I can make it go back and forth, you know, and stay in one place. You know, if I've got an isolated piece of cover that I want to work. But frog fishing's pretty simple. I mean, you need a rod. It's got a lot of backbone because you're usually fishing around pretty heavy cover, and you need the fish to get out of the cover as soon as you set the hook. So you need a lot of backbone, but you also want your rod to have a little bit of tip, so you can not only cast the frog, but you can also make it walk, make it do little dances, and you know, maybe work it quick, do a couple little tricks there around your piece of cover, and then make it pause. So I like the tip to have a little bit of action. I mean, you can throw it on a heavy flipping stick, but it gets to be a little more cumbersome to work and cast. So I definitely like a rod. It's a little tip. As far as the length of the rod, and that varies. It depends on how tall you are, because obviously when you work the rod, a lot of it's with a downward snapping motion. You get a rod that's real long, and you're going to be banging against the boat, hitting the water and things like that, and so it can be kind of cumbersome. So you kind of got to, each person's kind of got to gauge it for themselves. Me personally, I use a 7-foot rod, heavy action rod with a moderate fast tip. Always use braided line, and really that's for two reasons. One, you need to get a good hook set, usually over a piece of cover or through cover. The braid allows you to do that. And when you're fishing around grass, braid actually cuts grass like a knife, whereas monofilament and fluorocarbon will kind of bend and just wrap around the grass. The braid will actually slice through there when you set the hook, so you definitely get better hookups with the braid. I like 65 pound. I've been using the FX2 braid from Sunline. I also like the Vicious braid and the Suffix braid. I've used all three of those. I like all three of those real well. Frogs I throw a lot. I throw the Spro popping frog probably the most, but I also like the original Spro bronze eye frog. I throw several of the Ish's fat frogs from Snag Proof. I also like the Coppers frog. I haven't got to throw them as much. I've just started using those this year, but I really like them. Those frogs are really soft. They got good hooks in them. The other thing with frog fishing, you know, the strikes are obviously what makes it so much fun to fish. But the thing you've got to teach yourself to do is wait, not jerk at that big noise, the big splash and all the commotion. A lot of times if you'll pause for just a second, they'll actually tighten the line up for you where you can really drive the hooks. That takes a little bit of experimentation and practice, but it's like I said earlier, it's one of the most fun ways I've found to fish. I love to topwater fish, obviously. I really like to throw a frog around heavy cover, because you know, not only do you get cool strikes, but it really does catch big fish. You do it. Oh, get in there. Nice. There you go. That's what we love about frog fishing. They're not all big ones, but that's a nice one. Basically, heavy action rod, a good frog, good strong hooks, a little bit of tip action in the rod, 65 pound braid, you're good to go. Thank you, buddy.
Reminds me of muskies.
I love your mind.
They call it a bucket mouse because he's got a bucket mouse.
Wow.
I just want to tell you, I've been slaying the walleye lately.
That is so hot.
Ever bumped the stump?
Suffix 832, the line that changes the game.